Welcome back to America's Undercurrents, where we dig into the stories beneath the surface of America and the history of today's world. This episode is episode 4 about the Flint water crisis. And this story, unlike a lot of the ones that I have wrote up, is not buried in the past and it's not some forgotten scandal or a chemical that was made for war or something of that nature. It happened in our lifetime, my lifetime, obviously in our country, and it poisoned an entire city. That city, as you probably guessed by the name of this episode, was Flint, Michigan. And that name will forever be tied to one of the greatest public health betrayals, keyword betrayal, in U.S. history. This is not a story of bad luck. This is a story of money, power, and cover ups. It's a story of how America's government told its people to drink poison and then they lied about it. Let's rewind a bit. Uh, Flint, like a lot of Michigan, was very prosperous at one time. It was the birthplace of GM, General Motors, a major player of the American auto industry. But when the factories closed and jobs disappeared because they went overseas, like so many around our country, the city's tax base collapsed, and by 2011, the city as a whole was broke. Michigan's governor at the time, his name was Rick Snyder, and he declared a financial emergency. And here's where the scandal slash nightmare for the Flint residents began. And instead of a local democracy, Flint appointed one singular man with sweeping power to override the city council, the mayor, and anyone in the name of saving money. On April 25th, 2014, he decided to switch Flint's drinking water from a treated source that was being derived from Lake Huron to the Flint River. It was supposed to be temporary while a new pipeline was built, but there was a very glaringly obvious critical problem with this that I'm surprised people didn't try to speak out about before, even at the risk of losing your job. Um, the Flint River water was not treated properly, and they skipped the basic steps of adding a corrosive control chemical. And that decision to skip it only saved them about $100 a day in 2014's economy, probably much more now. So, without that chemical, the river's corrosive water began to eat away at the city's aging lead pipes, which is a ticking time bomb for disaster. Lead leached into the water and the poisoning began. Um, Almost immediately, residents knew something was wrong because I've never turned on my sink, and had my tap water come out brown. It smelled foul, and apparently it tasted very metallic. I think anybody, if you saw that, would be able to realize this is not okay. Kids came out of the bath with rashes. People's hair was falling out. They developed strange illnesses, and gee, I wonder why. And what did the officials say? They said the water was safe. Not surprised. Don't believe your lying eyes, right? Do what we say, not what you think. Look at what we want you to look at. Don't believe your lying eyes. Residents obviously raised alarms. General Motors, that still has some small business base there, complained their factories stopped using the water even because it was corroding the engine parts. Think about that. It's corroding the engine, but they're still telling you it's safe. We're not going to use it for our car manufacturing because it's messing up the metal, but it's safe to drink. Make that make sense. Emails later revealed that state officials knew about the risk, which is a trend in almost every single story I have looked into so far. They discuss them internally, but publicly they keep it hidden and they tell people, hey, just relax. They told the people, keep drinking the water, keep using the water, you're fine. You know, everybody's just panicking. It's just a little brown because it's not treated properly yet. Then enter Dr. And now, before I say this, give me some grace if I pronounce it wrong. A doctor by the name of Mona Hanna Aticha, a pediatrician at Flint's Hurley Medical Center, noticed an alarming sign in her patients, which was children with elevated blood lead levels. She studied the data and then she went public. And the state officials tried to destroy her for it. They called her an outlier. They said her data was inaccurate. Doesn't this seem familiar? COVID. But she was right. Her research showed lead exposure in Flint's children across the board it doubled, and some even tripled. And once her evidence spread and the truth could no longer be buried because they will try to bury it as long as possible every time, the lead was only part of the horror. Once it got out and more people started investigating this, they realized the incredible snowball effect that was happening here in Flint, Michigan. I say here in Flint, Michigan, like I live there. The lead was only part of the horror. Flint's untreated water also fueled Legionnaire's disease, an outbreak that at least 90 people were sickened by and 12 died from, all while officials dragged their feet. The crisis was so bad that by 2016, President Obama visited Flint at a small town hall. He sipped a glass of filtered water on camera, urging calm. Joe Biden got shot on camera. Anyway, but many residents saw it as a stunt. Trust was gone. Gee, I wonder why. But let's be clear here. Lead poisoning is not temporary, just like microplastics. It is not temporary. It doesn't flush out of your body. It damages your brain, especially in children because they're still growing. Your brain develops till the age of 25. It stunts your growth. It lowers your IQ because it's harming your brain, and it affects your behavior permanently. For better or worse, maybe I don't know the science on that. I do not have it wrote down either. But this was not just dirty water. Just like all my other stories, it's not just that, it is generational damage. Thousands of children were robbed of what potential they could have had. They were robbed of what they could be. Everybody was getting detrimentally sick, and people were just trying to cover it up. Investigations further down the line, again, after this doctor brought everything to light, investigations after the fact revealed shocking negligence. The Michigan Department of Environmental the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, sorry, ignored federal rules. The governor's office was warned repeatedly but downplayed the danger, which I almost feel like that was more of a stunt because if Obama was there drinking the water, I think he would have brought up the fact that they were ignoring federal rules. Anyway, internal memos showed they knew far more than they admitted. Criminal charges were filed against state officials, including Governor Snyder himself, rightfully so. But years later, most charges were dropped. Go figure. Justice system failed, and the Flint residents deserved more than that. Um, the justice that they needed never came. Billions were eventually allocated to replace Flint's pipes, thankfully, and compensated victims. But money can only do so much, and we all know this. Money is not worth your health. Money is not worth your life. Money is not worth generational issues for thousands of children. But what else can you do? Money can't build trust, right? It doesn't happen that way. It can bribe, but it ain't going to build trust. As of now, current day, most of Flint's lead pipes have been replaced fully, but residents remain wary. I would as well. Many still rely on bottled water, which you're trading lead poisoning for microplastics at that point. And I understand one's better than the other, but we still do not know all the effects of microplastics. And I believe is 0.5% of children nowadays' brain makeup is of microplastics. So we're really trading one poison for another, which is most things. Um, Flint isn't unique, though. Not in this case. Across America, thousands of communities face lead risk in aging water systems because of the material that was used at the time of installation. Flint was just one that broke the headlines, probably because it was the worst one, and the governor, state officials, government all acted in unison. They all had continuity to try to cover it up and downplay it. That should tell you a lot. That should really speak volumes and make you question things. It is healthy to question things, in my opinion. Don't need to take my advice. I'm a nobody. But just following the herd would have led you down the road of just continuing to drink this water when it's literally brown and it tastes like metal. Come on. And don't believe your lying eyes. Maybe you should. So, in conclusion here, the Flint water crisis wasn't an accident. It was not a mistake. Maybe at first I could see it being an accident until you discover the amount of lead that you're letting bypass. And then you cover it up. That is straight up betrayal to an entire city of people. And you are their state government, city government, local government, and you are letting them down. They betrayed the city. They stripped it of its democracy. They betrayed parents who trusted them. They betrayed children who had their whole lives ahead of them. And it proved to America something terrifying. Even the drinking water isn't safe if saving money matters more. In my first episode, we went over DuPont, 3M, the forever chemical, and it's still being covered up because of money. In the second episode, we talked about Love Canal and how that was being downplayed pretty much so the city and local government could continue to make money. Episode 3, the Monsanto seed monopoly. They started glyphosate, they started Roundup, and continued to use it and downplay the effects of their workers in their company, just like DuPont did, in the name of money. So guys, follow the money. Again, I'm a nobody. You don't have to take that advice. I'm just here to tell a story. I kind of did just go off on a tangent. But follow the money. Anyway, so guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry I went off on a little tangent. These are supposed to be educational. I tried to leave my biases out, but I also would like to include my personality and maybe a little bit of my humor. Um, if that's distasteful, tell me in the comments, please. I'm still trying to grow. But I hope y'all join me next time. We're going to go to West Virginia, which is a entire state that was affected greatly, just like Flint, Michigan was, by failing industry. It was a mining state, the whole state. There's so many mining towns in West Virginia that completely went to hell when a lot of things got taken overseas and we stopped using coal. Just to be brutally honest, that's a huge factor in it. So, join me next time. We're going to go down to West Virginia and figure out why 300,000 people got poisoned overnight. We are going to discuss the Elk River chemical spill. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you again for sharing this time with me. I appreciate it more than you know. My subscriber count jumped by like 25 or 35 people after my last video, and that's huge to me. So I appreciate that greatly. And again, I hope to see you guys there. Thank you.